Call the meeting to order. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. All members are present except Member Leach. Approval of the agenda. We have 3 changes to the agenda. We will be removing 6C EDA report, and 7L we will remove the SCDP loan agreements, and we will be putting in between G and H a G-1, which will be North Project Appeal. Is there any other changes or corrections to the agenda? Hearing nothing, do I have a motion to approve the agenda with that change?
Motion to approve. I'll second.
Motion by Dave, second by Diane. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Approval of the minutes of the October 17th, 2018 regular meeting. All received them in your packet. Is there any changes, corrections, clarification? Hearing nothing, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the October 17th, 2018 regular meeting?
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion by Diane. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. This now brings us to our public open forum. Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the council? Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the council? Call a third time. Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the council? Seeing no one, our public open forum is closed. We do not have any public hearings tonight. It then brings us to our reports and presentations. The ambulance quarterly report. Kathy?
Good to have someone speak.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'm here to present the third quarter report for the Sauk Center Ambulance. So it was another busy quarter for us. In July, we had 32 no loads, 7 advanced life support transfers, and 22 basic life support transfers for a total of 109 runs and activities for the month. That's a record for our service. That compares to 60 last year and 54 10 years ago for the same month. Of the total of the 109 activities and runs for July, the total number of calls that were billed out was 77. August returned a little more to normal for us with 20 no loads, 0 advanced life support transfers, and 25 basic life support transfers for a total of 73 runs and activities. Compares to 74 last year and 67 10 years ago in the same month. And of those 73 runs and activities, the total number billed out for August was 53 of those. September, we had 22 no loads, 2 advanced life support transfers, and 17 basic life support transfers for a total of 78 runs and activities. That compares to 54 from last year and 42 10 years ago for the same month. And of those 78 runs and activities for September, the number of billed out calls was 56. So the total billed out for the third quarter was over 216,000. We had, like I said, 74 total no loads for the third quarter. It's a little higher than normal with the summer activities that we participate in. For the third quarter, we had West Union Parade, St. Clair Lewis Days Parade, Greenwald Parade, Stearns County Fair, demolition derbies, night to night, 3 football standbys, and then 1 drill with the wind turbine farm. So, and at the fair, we had 5 activities for the fair booths. We do a fair booth every day at the fair. So 5 of those activities for July were fair booth. 3 were demolition derbies. We had 8 patient contacts at the fair. 1 was transported and 7 were not transported. We've used our Lucas 8 times this year. We've had a couple of short-term saves, but no long-term saves yet. We had 3 hospital contracts where we contract with the hospital to return patients to their residence or nursing homes. We had 3 of 3 of those billed calls were actually billed through the hospital with our contract there. We had one mutual aid for North Ambulance, where we responded into their primary service area to take a call when all their rigs were tied up. And we went to the Alexandria Hospital with that patient. That's it for the third quarter, and other than that, I have the news that our new ambulance has arrived today. So several weeks ahead of time. So we're not quite ready for it yet, but we're gonna get a move on to get the graphics on it so we can get it in service right away. I've got the permit through the state of Minnesota, the EMSRB already. I did the replacement ambulance this afternoon, so as soon as we get graphics on it to identify it as our ambulance, then we can go ahead and start using it.
Okay.
Any questions for me?
Questions, comments? Good job.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Public Works report. Oh, okay. Ben is on a fire call, so now we'll move right into our action items. Approved change in health plans, 2019.
Okay, this is kind of a two-part, oh, is that on? Yeah. And kind of a two-part, the first is the employee health insurance plan. During the budget meetings, we were directed as staff to research and possibly identify a new employee health plan that could potentially save the city some dollars for the upcoming budget year. A new plan was researched, reviewed by the Personnel and Finance Committee, and presented to the unions. An agreement has been switched to the new plan with an estimated cost savings to the city of $95,000 for 2019. The city is proposing to switch from a Health Partners high deductible health plan to, it's an HSA compliant plan, to PEEP plan, and PEEP stands for Public Employees Insurance Plan. This is a statewide public insurance plan that they're able to, due to the size of the employees in there, negotiate very competitive rates. So this is through the state of Minnesota. And so we are looking to approve entering into agreement with Public Employees Insurance Plan for employee health insurance benefits. And then this would be a 2-year commitment. Once you switch to PEEP, you have to stay with 2 years. Then you can leave, or you can just stay with the plan. So our first action item regarding the health insurance is to approve entering into the agreement with PEEP through the state of Minnesota for health insurance benefits.
Questions, comments? As you know, this was a rather long process for Heidi and I sitting on the committee along with Vicki and Jacqueline, so. Any questions or comments? Then do I have a motion to approve entering into the agreement with Public Employees Insurance Plan for employee health insurance benefits?
So moved.
A motion by Keith, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Any other discussion?
Just want to thank you for doing that.
Thank you. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7B, approve MOUs with Teamsters Local 320.
And we, as I mentioned just previously, the city does have agreements with Teamsters Local 320 for the Public Works and Police Unions. Those agreements outline the city's contribution to health insurance. Due to the new changes in the health insurance plan, which includes a higher deductible, the union and the cities have negotiated a change to the union agreement. Those changes were discussed by the City Council in closed session on October 17th and now have been memorialized in an MOU, or Memorandum of Understanding, with the union that outlines those. The changes include increasing the city's contribution to each employee's HSA or VIBA account by $2,200 and contributing 85% of the premium for dental. The increase in the VIBA by $2,200 was derived by doing the math of premium savings, et cetera, but the deductible increase to the employees was actually $4,000. So we are funding basically an additional $2,200 of that additional $4,000. These changes net the city savings on an annual basis for the employee health insurance of $95,000, which is what I told you previously. So that $95,000 is our net savings after we've helped fund some of that deductible. So that was our negotiation for, we'll increase the deductible, we're going to fund part of it, we're going to save, you're going to save, and so that was the agreement that we reached. So what we're looking for tonight is to approve the memorandums of understanding with the Public Works and Police Teamsters Local 320 bargaining unit, memorializing that change.
Questions, comments? Okay, do I have a motion to approve memorandums of understanding with Public Works and Police Teamsters Local 320 bargaining unit.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Dave, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Any other comments or questions? Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7C, approve resolution 2018-91, authorizing execution of purchase agreement.
Also at the closed session on October 17th, the City Council discussed negotiating strategy on the potential sale of the city's railroad property on Railroad Avenue. A specific discussion was relative to this purchase agreement that was received by the EDA for the property. The City Council did outline a counteroffer on the property, which I did present to the potential buyer, and the buyer has accepted, so now we will open in the public forum, accept that, or authorize the execution of the purchase agreement. The purchase price for the property is $30,000. The property is to be under development within 2 years of the sale, or the city will have the option to purchase the property back at 95% of the sale price. So when 2 years is up, if they're not actively developing or working on the development of the property, the city has the option to go in and get the property back and resell it to someone else. The goal of the EDA is to get the property developed. The purpose of this provision is so somebody doesn't just purchase it for investment purposes and going to sit empty for years. And so that is why that is in there. I do have Resolution 2018-91 in front of you for adoption that does outline those agreements and authorizes the mayor and myself to execute the purchase agreement.
The resolution number should be
2018-91.
2018-91.
Okay.
Any questions, concerns? Hearing nothing, do I have a motion to approve resolution 2018-91, authorizing execution of purchase agreement?
So moved.
Motion by Keith, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7D, approve ordinance 782, amending city code for curb cuts and driveways.
The city code does not provide us clear direction on driveway locations and curb cut constructions, how that's determined. The policy committee discussed various issues relating to curb cuts, including maximum size and separation distances. And so then based on that conversation, we have created an ordinance that provides us some additional guidance. I did include the ordinance as we are presenting it to you tonight in its full form as ordinance 782. The highlights are we have details of the maximum residential width of 24 feet for residential, and that is what is currently in our code. That just restates that. We have a commercial width of 36 feet. The curbs must have a 3-foot taper and a 4-foot concrete driveway approach. We do already have that, a standard like that. The openings must meet the 5-foot side yard setback, and of course there would be exceptions if there's a duplex because you have a common property line. The driveway must be set back 20 feet from a residential intersection and 30 feet from a commercial intersection. That would be for city streets. The county has, on the state, they have their own standards. All properties are entitled to at least one driveway. A second driveway may be allowed on larger residential lots with separation requirements. I believe we talked about a 66-foot separation requirement on if you had wanted to have 2 driveways. Commercial properties would have 2 driveways, and they may be allowed a third for a loading dock. And that we may deny a permit for public safety reasons such as sight lines, turn lanes, and those types of things. And so we did put that forward in an ordinance here for your review. And if you're so inclined, we'd ask you to approve ordinance 782, adopting driveway access approval procedures and standards.
Questions? Comments? The ones that do have 2 driveways are grandfathered in for right now?
Everybody that's here right now is grandfathered in, yes. We're not going to take any driveways away.
Unless they make changes.
And right. And if somebody's making changes, then we'd ask them we'd want them to conform to the new code.
Okay, all right. Any other questions or concerns? Do I have a motion to approve ordinance 782, adopting driveway access approval procedures and standards?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Diane, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Keith. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Approve ordinance 780, amending tobacco ordinance.
The tobacco ordinance, I'd brought it up to the council before, and they'd sent it to the policy committee. And really, this has mostly to do with the regulation of e-cigarettes and vaping in the city, and which are subject to the Clean Indoor Act. I think what kind of inspired us to do this is we had some inquiries about someone wanting to open a shop in town, and then we started looking at our tobacco ordinance and said, you know, this really needs to be updated. And so this ordinance here, what it really does is adds definitions, including electronic delivery devices and electronic cigarettes. It updates the definition of tobacco and tobacco-related products. It adds definitions related to vaping and vaping product shops. It defines prohibitions, including preserving the right for the city council to designate public areas near youth-oriented facilities as tobacco-free zones. It just kind of it's not declaring anything tobacco-free, but says in the future, if you want to do that, you can. It prohibits self-service sales and describes procedures on hearing rights for suspected violators of the license. I did put the whole ordinance in there. I struck through the old language in our ordinance they're taking out. I underlined new language so you can see the whole impact of that ordinance. I did give it to the police chief for review, and he gave me a thumbs up, so I guess that's okay on his part. And so what we're looking to do tonight is to approve ordinance 780, updating section 111 of the city code relating to tobacco licensing and use.
Questions? Comments? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve ordinance 780, updating section 111 of the city code relating to tobacco licensing and use?
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion by Diane, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Any other questions or concerns? Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Approved ordinance 781, authorizing summary publication of tobacco ordinance.
So due to the length of ordinance 780, which is the tobacco ordinance that you just passed, the city council is authorized to approve an ordinance allowing for the summary publication as long as the title of the summary ordinance clearly depicts what the ordinance is about. So we have the summary of the title of the summary ordinance saying, an ordinance of the City of Sauk Centre authorizing summary publication of ordinance 780, updating the city tobacco ordinance number 111 to include definitions, licensing, and regulation of electronic cigarettes and related devices. If you feel that summary that I just read defines what that ordinance is about, you can then authorize me to publish this summary, which does require a 4/5 vote of the city council. So I am requesting to be able to publish that summary in lieu of the full tobacco ordinance, and that is the action requested.
Okay. Questions? Concerns? Do I have a motion to approve ordinance 781, authorizing the summary publication of ordinance 780?
So moved.
I'll
Motion by
second.
Dave,
I'll
second by Diane. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7G, approve resolution 2018-84, adopting assessment Getty Street.
So the attached resolution formally adopts the assessment of Getty Street. This was the resolution that was in front of you on October 17th that the council did table due to the appeals from the 2 property owners on the street. So the Finance Committee was to meet tonight with the city engineer and myself and the 2 different appellates on this. The committee couldn't meet because Heidi was unable to attend, but Warren was there. So tonight, the city council, we could adopt the original assessment, we could amend the assessment, or we could table it. Keep in mind, if we do table it, that we won't be sending it for the assessment rolls for 2019 property taxes. In the meeting, we did meet individually with both of the people that did appeal the assessment, and they both had, they both were open to some type of negotiation, put it that way. I don't know, Warren, how much you want to add on that. We talked about, mostly we talked about the project and what it was that they felt, why this assessment wasn't appropriate for them, and a lot of the things had to do with project-specific things about how the project happened, but we also talked specifically about their assessment, and they're providing us some information on why they feel that it wasn't appropriate. So I don't know if, Warren, if you're prepared to recommend adoption, if you're prepared to say, let's table this, understanding that it's going to put it off a year, or if you have a recommended amendment to it. Keep in mind that if we do adopt it, that starts the clock ticking for their 30-day right to appeal, which either way is going to probably put it off till the next year. So, Warren, I don't know, feel free to chime in if you have more of a summary of what we talked about. And we are supposed to get back with them again tomorrow, because they were going to talk to their legal counsel. So,
One of the things that, we discuss is if we do table this, it won't go on next year's rolls. But then if we do it and they appeal it and we end up going to court over it, it's not gonna make the rolls that way either. Or there are some figures that I think Vicky had as far as being able to amend it and bring a couple of it down, some of their assessments down, which I don't know if,
so what we talked about is the number of front footage that was included in the overall assessment roll, and Keith has those exact numbers. I don't know if those numbers that would be enough for them to agree to it, and it still might result in appeal, but it may not. So we're kind of at a situation right now. Does the city council want to say, I'm willing to adjust the numbers so that we can move this project forward, taking the risk that there will be an appeal, and that will also delay the project? Or if you feel comfortable with the numbers, would allow them to go ahead and accept it and not? Now, then, when we asked them specifically numbers that they would be comfortable with, I think it was considerably lower than what we were able to get to, just based on just the math. I'm not talking about pulling numbers out of the whatever. These are numbers based on the actual construction costs that we could get to, that we could legally get to, put it that way, based on our policy. So I don't think that we would get there with those numbers, and it probably would still result in appeal. I can't say for sure. I couldn't read their minds.
right? And one of the things is we, if we do an adjustment on the council's part, we gotta justify why we did it. It's gotta be justified one way or the other, so even if they appeal, and it does happen, it does show at least we tried, but I don't think anybody got a clear reading whether or not it's gonna happen, not happen, or if we do, because some of the figures were as much as 50% reduction, and we know,
That won't fly.
Yep.
we can't justify that, so.
Who would they appeal to?
It appeals to district court.
Right.
Oh, okay, legal.
And there's a process right in the code that once this is adopted, they have 30 days to file in district court.
What, gosh, 50%, what sorts of things do they feel they're not liable for? I mean,
They're basing their appeal on the amount of the assessment and the value increase to the property.
The value, they're saying the value of their property isn't increasing by the amount that we're assessing. But, if you put a new roof on your house
yeah,
and turn around and sell it a month later, you're only getting maybe 10% credit for what it costs you to do it when you do it on your property value. So is it the same thing with the street improvement? I don't know. Every realtor I ever talked to, whenever I did an improvement and then wanted to sell something, told me that.
I mean, we hear that from everyone when we have the tax appeals.
Right.
I mean, irregardless of what's done to the facility, it's never worth the value.
And to go in and have appraisals done, appraisals change depending on who you get for an appraiser.
Yeah.
You can get them to say anything you want if you want,
Just about, yep. So I don't see any real advantage to us just arbitrarily picking a different number. I mean, we'd have to justify it, which seems real problematic, and it's no guarantee that it's gonna affect anything in the outcome. They haven't agreed to it.
Right.
I think you've got two options, you know, you put a number on it, you adopt it, ball's in their court, they appeal it or not, and you go to court or not. That's the one option. The other option is you table it and you negotiate an agreement. You negotiate a dollar amount that you can agree upon.
I
That's
think
that's your two options, really.
that's kind of.
Because I feel, and I don't know, based on you, Warren, I mean, talking to their attorney at the meeting, I think they felt that, I don't know that they would, some people are very squeamish about filing an appeal in district court and others aren't. And so
And
we
one
don't-
of the things too is if it is filed, then they're gonna incur even more costs, and so are, along with the city.
Yep.
So for trying to save money on the project based on the assessments, it's gonna cost them a lot of money in attorney fees, possibly just to save
we've-
some, so I don't know.
Yeah, we've done this before, but we've always had a negotiated settlement in a very short period of time.
Right.
It hasn't really affected any of the filings. Guess I'm willing to table it and negotiate. I mean, it sounds like if we file it, it's just going to be appealed and it's going to be on hold anyway, and filing it is only triggering the time frame. I mean, that's, I'd take a guess. Do we need to trigger the time frame, or is it going to drag on otherwise?
Well, that's one of the
Because-
things,
Because otherwise, I don't think it affects our position one way or the other to certify it and send it in.
right.
In fact, I think that'd be
You
my
know-
recommendation, I'll just certify it and send it in. We
I-
have followed
I-
our ordinance appropriately, the way we do our assessment policies.
Yep, I agree with Dave.
I think,
There is no sure guarantee that they're not going to appeal it, even if we,
even if we do
Table
something
it.
else, yep,
you know, we could spend,
yep, it's been.
it doesn't
a long
make
time
the
doing
tax
it.
rolls, we could negotiate for 2 months.
Yep, and
Or
still end up
longer,
in an
and still
appeal,
end
so-
up in an appeal, so, yeah. But I was only one person sitting in the meeting with the vote, so it was kinda like I told them, the council, it's their decision, you know, you're the ones that gotta make the motions.
I
So-
think I would make a motion then that we certify the assessments as they were presented.
Okay?
I'll second it.
Motion by Dave, a second by Diane. Everyone understands the motion? Any other comments or questions?
So basically, you're approving this resolution, adopting the assessments as they were presented to you initially.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Now, 7G-1, North Project Appeal.
Okay, we do have one additional appeal, and this was on the North Project, and this one was adopted on October 17th, and so they have until November 16th to file an appeal in district court. We have received one written request, and they are appealing the assessment on their property according to Minnesota Statute 429081. The proposed assessment does not bring that amount of increased value to our property. So we also met with this property owner this evening. It's parcel number 9458217.0000, and their lot is a little bit larger than the rest of the lots on the, in the project, and their assessment is $10,065.97. We did an average of the 90 residential properties in the parcel, in the project, and the average is $8,177.63. So this one is a little bit more than those other ones. And so in our conversations in the meeting, they had said to us that they would be willing to, they were aware of when we did once before where we did agree that rather than going to court, we would negotiate a reduced assessment based on our perceived costs that we may incur. And at that time, our costs that we had agreed on was 10 hours at our city attorney's rate as a reduction. And they did say that they would agree to that. So basically, if the council was wanting to amend this and agree to that, they would withdraw their appeal. If not, then of course we take the risk of them filing an appeal by the 15th of November. And so this one, we do have a negotiated amount based on what we had done once before. And so we're sitting in a position again where this is one parcel where there was 100 and some parcels assessed. And it's the one parcel of all that did file the appeal in a timely manner. So based on those numbers and them telling us that they would agree, they would remove their appeal if we agreed to that amount. 100 or 10 hours at our city attorney's rate is $1,600 because our city attorney is $160 an hour. And so if the city council wishes to enter into an agreement with them for a reduction of $1,600 against their assessment, bringing their assessment closer to the average, still a little higher than average, but closer to the average, they will withdraw their appeal. I can't say if we don't do it, if they will continue or not. So that's something, that's kind of a risk you guys would need to discuss and take action on. Now, keep in mind that the 15th of November, the 16th of November, these get certified to the county auditor because they were are adopted on the 17th of October. So this one here is very similar to the previous one, except the fact that we have an agreement, or he has indicated his willingness to have an agreement and to remove the appeal if we would make that reduction.
And once again, you know, I was the only one sitting in the meeting. That was an option that was brought up, and I told them that I would consider looking at that option, that it's basically the council's decision whether or not what they want to do. So, any other comments or questions?
Well, we have apparently a negotiated settlement, and it is in agreement with prior settlements that we've done, so we have a precedent of having done this anyway.
Right, and we have a verbal agreement that if we did,
Yep.
they would drop the appeal, and I think I know the person well enough to know that they would honor that. So,
No, then I would make a motion that we approve that settlement.
I'll second it.
okay, we have a motion by Dave, a second by Diane to approve the negotiated settlement with the parcel number that you stated, that I didn't write down, so.
I got that.
Okay, you got that. All right. Any other comments or concerns? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Abstention?
No, oppose.
Oh, okay. 3 in favor, 1 opposed, and no abstentions. 7H, approve execution of easement agreements 2018 North Project.
Okay, this is the final easement agreement for the work on Lakeshore Drive, for the alley between Lakeshore Drive and Elm Street between 5th and Country Club. And the property owners have been contacted. They're in the process of returning the signed easements. Chuck Bozer is the one that's been working with them and meeting individually with them. And is there just one left to come back? One left to meet with, of all of them on there, so we have them. The disbursement of funds for payment is expected to occur with the payment of claims as early as next meeting if we get all the easements back. The total disbursement will be $24,875.38 as part of the project cost. That's based on Stearns County estimated market value per square foot. So we look at their parcel and we look at how many square foot of easement area that we need, and then we apply that. We do have a sample of the permanent utility easement agreement. You've seen this before, but this is the final document, how it looks like. And then I also included a listing of all the different parcels and the dollar amount that would be dispersed for these easements. And they're all in the thousand, anywhere from, well, actually, the lowest one is $345 and the highest one is $1,890. So they're in that range between all the different people. And this is to get our extra easements that we need in the alley to run the water and the sewer down the alley. So what we're looking for is to approve the execution of the easement agreements and the disbursement of funds.
Questions?
So we had an alley in place,
Yep,
but it wasn't wide enough to do the utilities?
correct.
Okay, so it's, the easement's being expanded, all right.
Yep.
Any other questions, concerns? Do I have a motion to approve the execution of easement agreements and disbursement of funds?
So moved.
Motion by Keith, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7I, approve pay request Brightbot Construction.
Stantec has submitted for payment Pay Request 5 for Brightback Construction. This is for work completed through October 5th for the 2018 CIP project. You can see the original contract was just over $3.2 million. They have completed to date about $1.5 million. We have paid them 1.2 previously, and then we also have a $81,000 retainage. It nets out amount due this request of $339,256.47. So that's what we're looking for approval. Pay request number 5 to Brightbot Construction for that amount.
Questions, concerns? I know we have one of these just about every meeting.
Yep.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve pay request number 5 to Brightbot Construction Company for $339,256.47?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Dave, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7J, approve resolution 2018-92 declaring property as excess.
Stearns County Attorney's Office has released to the Sauk Center Police Department property declared forfeited, and we are seeking to sell that property. It is a XCAM 22 caliber handgun. Statute requires the sale of a handgun to be concluded through a licensed FFL dealer, which is our standard practice. The attached resolution declares the property as excess and authorizes the advertisement for sale. So that's resolution 2018-92 declaring the XCAM 22 caliber handgun as excess property.
Questions? Comments? Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2018-92 declaring property as excess?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Diane, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7K, approve resolution 2018-93 accepting bid for excess property.
The City Council, by Resolution 2018-25, had previously declared a 2003 Ford Explorer that was forfeited to the Police Department as excess and authorized it be sold. It has now been offered through sale for the state of Minnesota's online bidding system. The highest bidder is Jamie Luberts for $1,501. And so I'm asking you to approve Resolution 2018-93, authorizing sale of the forfeited vehicle.
Questions? Concerns? Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2018-93 authorizing sale of forfeited vehicle?
So moved.
Motion by Keith, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7M, set meeting date to canvass election votes.
The Minnesota state statute requires that the governing body of a jurisdiction that had positions or questions voted upon at the general election have to meet and declare the results official. That's called canvassing your votes. The board must meet between 3 and 10 days following the election. So the dates available are November 9th, which is Friday, and November 13th through the 16th. The November 12th is a federal holiday, so we can't do that day. So, and typically what we'll do with canvass vote, it's a 2-minute meeting, it's probably held during the day. I need 3 of the council members to be in presence, and then you would adopt a resolution declaring the results as official. So I'm looking for some feedback on meeting times and dates that might work.
Friday and get it over with.
Yeah, sounds good to
Friday
me.
would be fine with me.
Friday's fine with you?
This Friday?
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
What time?
What time?
Lunch
You want-
hour, I imagine.
6?
What works?
I was talking during the day, maybe. You want
Yeah.
Friday night?
No, 6.
6 in the morning.
6 in the morning is fine with me.
It's not gonna bother me.
I mean, we can-
Right, I can work with it too, but,
And if we need to meet at 7:30 before work, that's good too. I don't have a problem with that. So, or
just
noon
kidding.
over lunch.
Do a reasonable thing.
We still in compliance then for open meeting law?
Pardon me?
If we do it Friday, are we in compliance?
Well, if we declare it now, we're in open session right now.
Okay.
Yes, so yes,
All right,
this is
okay.
notice.
What time, chief?
Morning would be best.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'll be in violation of the recreational vehicle if I don't get my camper put away Friday.
7 o'clock in the morning?
Doesn't bother me. Vic.
Friday morning, 7 o'clock?
Is that
Sounds good to
okay?
me.
I think, Warren, you're the one with the time crunch here.
No, I don't have to be to work until 7:30, so I'm fine.
I'll be
Okay,
here.
7 is fine.
That's this
it
Friday,
is.
right?
This Friday
And right here.
at 7 in the
Geez, I
morning.
was just kidding.
November 9th.
So I don't have to get up.
Yeah, see, you don't want a kid around this.
7
house.
is fine, that works for me too.
Okay. Unfinished business, outside storage and parking of recreational vehicles.
The planning commission, well, this is kind of an update. You guys had tabled that portion of the recreational vehicles at the last city council meeting, just letting you know the planning commission has it on their agenda for Tuesday, November 13th, and they're going to consider the input provided to them by the city council. And we may have a proposed ordinance on November 21st for the city council. I don't know. Depends on how their meeting goes. It's just kind of a little updated information for you.
Okay. 8B, 2018 CIP project updates.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. For the North Project, we reached substantial completion October 16th, which is about around 2 weeks later than originally planned, so reasonable. As you can see up there, the Main Street Pond is under construction right now. We're looking at getting that completed this winter along with the Lakeshore Pond afterwards. Hopefully they can be seeded sometime in May and ready for operation. Project will basically sit dormant for the winter, and next spring around March, we'll meet with the contractor to get a preliminary schedule for Phase 2, and we'll notify all the residents in the city of the upcoming schedule for that phase. So
Okay.
it was a pretty good summer. We're happy with Brightbox work, and they did a nice job.
Looks really good.
The holding ponds, there you're planning for a winter dig, correct?
Correct, yep. Yep, we have Elgin excavating, a separate contract digging those. They're gonna work on them this winter, and hopefully have them ready by May, sometime next May, April, May.
When do you anticipate doing that, in December, or?
They're actually doing the Main Street one right now.
Oh, they are?
Yep, I would say they're 50%, maybe 40% done with the Main Street one. And the Lakeshore one, we'll start on that one after Main Street one's done.
Not too much of a mess then. I know you were concerned about tearing up
The golf course, yeah, part of that was, once you let the grass freeze, you're not gonna make as much ruts when you're driving on frozen ground, so moving dirt around will be a little easier on the golf course that way.
Okay, good,
Thank you.
thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. We have no new business. Oh, go ahead.
Two
Oh,
projects.
that's right.
Oh, yeah.
So the Getty Street project. We reached substantial completion on October 3rd for that project. The non-wear is all the pavement's done except for the final wear, which will be done next year. All the other work except a small portion of the grass and turf restoration on Thorson's property is completed. So that project's substantially completed as of today. So.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
thanks. We have no new business. That then brings us to our consent agenda. We have a schedule of claims, unpaid claims of $628,640.04. Paid claims of $143,533 for a total of $772,173.04. We have resolution number 2018-94, accepting contributions of $170 from Birchwood Resort to be allocated to the dog park. $816.19 from anonymous donors to be allocated to the dog park, $195 from the men's card playing group to be allocated to the senior center, $200 from Minnesota National Bank to be allocated to the fire department, and $25 from Darlene Zerbis to be allocated to the police department. And on behalf of the city and the council, I want to thank those people for those contributions. We have gambling applications for exempt permit requests from Sauk Center Lions Club for a raffle on February 27th, 2019 at the American Legion. Is there any questions, concerns about the consent calendar? Hearing nothing, do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented? So moved. Motion by Keith, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Informational items, Sinclair Lewis Bronze Statue.
Yep, I do have that informational item, and I can probably give you a little bit of update on Public Works. I was hoping he'd be back from his fire call, but evidently not. On the bronze statue of Sinclair Lewis, the Artify Sauk Center Group, and this is a subgroup of the Community Foundation, they are currently working on the development of a life-size bronze statue of Sinclair Lewis. If any of you have been to like Shields, you'll see like the presidents in bronze, they're life-size. I've actually seen the design, and it's kind of like Sinclair Lewis standing with his longer coat, you know, kind of the standard. And they're looking to have one commissioned that is 105%, I believe, or 110% of his life size. So it'll be like a full-size person standing there. What they would like to do is they would like to place that in the landscape area of the library. So if you're going up the sidewalk of the library, and you can go on that little sidewalk to the left to go to the book drop, they'd like a matching sidewalk kind of to the right to the bronze statue of Sinclair Lewis. We would incorporate with landscaping, so we don't have to mow around it. It's just going to be part of the feature there where people can walk up to it and take pictures. I've met with them twice on that right now, and they wanted to come to the city council or at least introduce the idea, and when they get a little further along, they'd like to come in person and talk about it with you. But that would be their hope, is that the city council will allow the placement of this Sinclair Lewis statue at the Sinclair Lewis Library, I guess it is now. So just kind of, there'll be a formal acceptance and a dedication that they would like to have during Sinclair Lewis days if we can make it happen during that time. These are very expensive. This is something that they would be funding, and I also talked to them about long-term care of it and any potential costs to the city. So they're putting that together for us, and we'll expect them to come forward. The Artify Group is also working on a back alley improvements, things on the buildings that they can do to make the back alleys more attractive for people to enter businesses through the back alleys, especially in the future when we have the highway project. So they'll also be coming in front of you to kind of discuss that. I just told them I'd introduce it so you're not completely surprised if you hear on the street some of this going on. They're a very active group. So I think we're fortunate to have them help do some of those things for Sauk Center. Would you like me to touch a little bit on Public Works?
Might as
I can
well.
maybe say a couple things. Okay, I know that, because some of you guys have asked me the questions. The paving was done on the airport, the entrance driveway. So if you go out there now, you have a paved driveway. You don't have the bill yet, but that is part of our grant, and then we'll be able to close out that grant. And I was hopeful that the runway project grant would be closed out by now too, but we're still waiting for some lien waivers for some subcontractors on that. As far as the dog park, we were able to get all the materials ordered, or we have them on hand, or they're already installed. So the fundraising money that was fundraised was adequate to do that. And so all the posts are actually in the ground, and they've all been installed, so that as we put up the fencing, as the gates finally come in, I think they're back ordered till in December sometime, that'll be able to be installed. There's no more in-the-ground work that has to be done. So if you go up there, you will see that. Some signage is being developed for it, and they're quite happy with that. Of course, this morning early, they had the trucks out for the first time with salt, which, because there were some very slippery intersections, and we're looking at that. And kind of Ben is working on how to make the routes hopefully work a little bit differently, so you might see things a little differently on how we do the work in the plowing this year. And we're looking at him for some new ideas for that. The ice, of course, has been working at the arena. We have the biggest figure skating group we've ever had in the history of Sauk Center. So we have the most participants in the group. We think part of that is because we set a time once a week for the practice and for the sessions, and it's the same every single week. And that's, the parents were asking for that. And we're having to change those time frames all the time to accommodate other events happening in the arena. And this time, we just blocked out that time for us, and we stuck to it, and we're being rewarded by lots of participants in it. I talked to you earlier, I said we were putting in the new double doors. I think they're going in tomorrow, I believe is what Andrew told me. They finally arrived, so we'll have the new doors in up at the arena, so that's ready to go. They're getting the plow trucks ready. Everything is kind of turned over for winter use, and we'll be keep going down that. If you have any questions, Ben is very open to talking with all of you and to getting to know all of you, and invite you to come down to the shop or visit with him at any time. So if you have any questions, I can forward to him. Otherwise, feel free to contact him directly.
I had one. I used to have a sign in front of my house that said road work ahead, and all of a sudden it disappeared today. Are they not going to do the mill and overlay this year?
I have not heard
for
that officially,
71?
but I do understand that they came in and took them down because of the weather. It's just going to be too cold to be putting down the
That's kinda
pavement.
what I
So
thought.
MinDOT has delayed that project until next spring.
Thank you.
But we had the signs sitting around for about 2 months.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, that brings us to our end of our agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Dave, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Meeting adjourned.